Good evening. Welcome to the Village of Pleasantville Board of Trustees meeting. Today is Monday, September 26. If you are watching live on Monday, September 26, we encourage you to call in if you have comments or questions. The call-in number is 769-1677. As always, you can pick us up either live or with on-demand webcasts at pctv76.org and also watch on Cablevision or Verizon Fios. Our next scheduled meeting is a work session next week, Monday, October 3 at 7, and a regular meeting on Monday, October 10 at 8, with a work session at 7. Just had a couple of announcements to make. The first was, for any of you who happened to see the Sunday New York Times New York section, there was an article about a woman named Emily Moser, who has a website and a blog called I Ride the Harlem Line. So if anybody's interested in this, you could Google that and pick up Emily Moser's blog, I Ride the Harlem Line. It's devoted to the joys of Metro North, and she has comments on every Metro North train station, including, I was happy to notice, extremely positive comments about our own Village of Pleasantville train station, and quite a few positive, as well as some funny comments about the Percent for Art program installation that we have, which is the cast bronze residential chairs. So it's an interesting thing and a fun opportunity, and so I encourage you to take a look at the blog I Ride the Harlem Line, or take a look at the Times article, which was on Sunday. We have a couple of interesting events coming up. As everybody knows, the Ragamuffin Parade comes up around Halloween, and we've had some discussion about how we can make the Ragamuffin Parade and the farm market coexist, and so we continue to work on that, and we'll have a little more detail on that shortly, but we are optimistic at the moment that we'll be able to have both events, and perhaps the two of them can feed off each other and benefit each other. The other thing I wanted to point out is that we have now completed the leveling of the buildings back in the Lane Plumbing site, which is behind the post office, and have a sub-base of road millings back there. And over the month of October, that area will be paved, and we're going to end up with a new parking area back there that will likely be used for permit spaces during the day, and like all our permit spots, become open to anybody for free parking after 3 o'clock on weekdays and all day on Saturday and Sunday. So I think it's going to be a great advantage for lots of the businesses and activities that take place in that corner of the village, and more to come on that soon, but we are moving ahead and trying to get that paved before the asphalt plants close. We're still feeling gung-ho on that, Patty, right?
Gung-ho. Yes, we are.
Can I take that as a promise? We'll get that done.
We expect to pave next week, actually, so yes, okay. You can.
So at any rate, if you find yourself headed over in that area, wander back behind the post office and take a look. It's a big space that the village acquired this spring, and I think it's going to become a significant asset to us going forward, both as a parking lot and potentially as the site for some sort of development way down the road. So we have a couple of oral communications on the agenda for tonight, and the first is Michael Bloom, who has an update on the road race that he has been planning as a project to benefit the Tina Gambino Reflections Scholarship Program. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and member of the Town Council. Thank you for letting me speak with you this evening. I want to take this opportunity to give you an update on what is going on with the Tina Shana Gambino Memorial 5K Run Walk. Since we last met in July, I have met with Police Chief Love and Patty Dwyer, and we agreed on a starting time, a starting place, and a new race route. I have had meetings with School Superintendent Mrs. Fox-Salter and High School Principal Mrs. Bartz, and both were supportive in let the race use the school property to begin and end the 5K. We have hired the race company AREEP. They will officially time the race, as well as collect all the money for pre-registered runners. They have also set up a website for the online registration. That address to sign up is www.areep.com, and I'll also be handing out packets to everyone at the end of the speech. So we've recently had a meeting with Scarborough and Tweed, and have begun the process of supplying shirts to the first 150 registered runners. I have contacted 2 insurance companies who are willing to insure the race. Since July, I've gone around to local store owners and asked for financial support, and we have already received over $2,000 in donation. My family and I have assigned 5 adult captains to head the many volunteers we are anticipating to help make the race day run as smooth as possible. We have also created a poster, which you may have already seen around town, giving information about the race. During this project, I have met many wonderful people, many of whom have gone out of their way to help me with this event. If I may, I would like to briefly mention some of their names now.
Please do.
Chris Jankowski, who helped us explain how to make a race like this happen. Laura Cassiato, who helped us with the registration forms and getting that online. Loretta Brooks from the Mount Pleasant Holiday Inn, who donated a room for AREP to stay in overnight. Chief Love and Patty Dwyer for being so supportive. Lisa Kobe from Believe Salon for not only being a huge sponsor, but also having hair extensions and helping us raise money for the cause as well. And of course the Gambinos. Tony, Janice, and Isabel have been kind enough to let us use their house as a meeting place. Without their input, this race wouldn't be possible. There are a couple things I still need. I need to know the exact amount of police that will be used and a rough estimate of the cost. Also, where I could put larger size posters in town. And I also need for everyone listening to get the word out about October 29th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. My first thought is, when can you run for the village board? I mean, we can use a guy like you. Really, such an impressive presentation, such an impressive idea, and none of us doubted for a moment that this will be a great success. So you deserve a lot of credit for having not only hatched this plan, but carrying through with such efficiency and such clarity. So thank you for that. If you are representative of Pleasantville's youth, we are in a pretty good situation. So couple of questions there. Where could you put up bigger posters? So
Yeah.
you certainly could on the village community bulletin board at the Pocket Park.
Okay.
Have you got a bigger poster?
We're like contacting people to help us make the bigger poster.
Well, I happen to have some resources of that kind, so you should contact me. I might be able to help you out with that. And now you need to know the number of police and the cost?
Yes, because we have been trying to raise enough to cover the expenses, so the race will just be the runners raising money for us.
Uh-huh.
So we would want to know how many and about roughly how much it would cost.
Okay. Do you have a target for how many runners you hope to attract?
Well, around like 150 to anywhere from 250.
Uh-huh. So people can sign up starting now?
Yeah.
You want to repeat that website so everybody gets it?
Yeah. AREEP.com, and then you want to click on schedule and scroll down to October 29th, and our race name will be right there. And then there's a little sign for a computer. You just click that, and it'll automatically bring you to the registration. And that's online registration.
As far as other places, Peter, for the large posters, I would think that you might look over at the school near the athletic fields. You might be able to mount something right on one of the fences, and possibly over here at Parkway, because you know if you're going to have people who are going to be interested in getting involved in a physical activity like this, we have obviously all the school teams that are participating in events. Largely at the high school and at Parkway, but of course there are a couple other fields where they play as well. So if you could come up with something that could be attached to the fence or
Yeah,
over there,
yeah, definitely.
and see where else you might put them up. You probably want to talk, but think to our DPW and Parks Department to make sure that that's an okay thing for them to do.
All right, so, and what time is it going to take place?
It's going to, well, we want all runners to be there and walkers at 8:45, and it will officially start at 9 o'clock. And everything should wrap up around 10:15, 10:30, so people can get to the Ragamuffin Parade.
Uh-huh. And so the starting and ending point is
the high school, and
the high school?
Yeah, and there will also be a lot of parking available
Uh-huh.
in the high school, middle school parking lot, and the back of the middle school.
So the people will, where's the finish line going to be?
The finish line will start and end in front of the high school.
Uh-huh.
So we've measured it exactly to come back.
Uh-huh.
And where does it go? It starts at the high school, goes down Roma?
I actually have a map for everyone.
Oh, okay.
If you want to.
All
Goes
right.
to Mr. Scarstad's driveway.
Yeah. Do you have a Facebook page?
Yeah, well, partially, but we're trying to get it up right now. We just have to set it up and try to get the word out on Facebook.
Because I know Chris Jankowski,
Yeah, he has
he
one.
got a lot of people to sign up through Facebook. And that might be another way to get the word out there a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
I don't
Chris
know if
Cornell.
PCTV could even be great to do a little story on him, huh? Yeah.
Sarah?
And Sarah from the Patch, I'm sure, is
This
already
is Sarah
on
Stelly
it.
from the Patch, right?
Right. And Sarah covered the Chris Jankowski's race as
Yeah.
well. She did a great job. She had some 4,000 pictures online or something like that. No, I'm kidding. I'm exaggerating.
All right, well, this sounds just great. So that's Saturday, October 29,
Yep.
same day as the Ragamuffin Parade. So
Yes.
it's a big day in the village of Pleasantville. And as we discussed when you first visited, a convenient time because we already have extra officers for the Ragamuffin Parade. Do you anticipate that people will run in costume?
I don't think so, but anything for runners and walkers, for serious runners and just for runners that like to run, they will be chipped for exact time. Chip means you're going to have a little thing on your leg, and it knows exactly where you are in the course and gets your exact time, and it posts it right away on the internet.
Uh-huh.
And for walkers, it starts the same, but then there's a less 2-mile walk, so we will all meet up at the same time so we could give out the awards for that.
So that's great. So that's worth pointing out to everybody that you don't have to be a runner to take part in this. You can actually walk a 2-mile route.
Yep, definitely. It's yeah.
Is there an option for people to drive?
You need to get out there.
That's pathetic.
Have you ever been to a race?
Very
sad.
I know you do at least fingers skateboard.
No. Are you? Can your volunteers sign up on the same site, or are you doing that separately? And do you have a contact?
Well,
for that?
for the volunteers, we're pretty much filled. Like, we have a
You have
lot
a
of
lot
high
of-
school students that have gone on, because the high school is also co-sponsoring this. So we really need runners and
You
walkers right
need
now.
runners
That's-
versus volunteers.
Yes,
Because you need a
definitely.
lot of volunteers throughout, right? Which
Yeah.
I'm sure Chris told you.
We have lots of volunteers. If you really can't run or walk, we would definitely accept a volunteer.
I was
we-
not speaking on my own behalf.
I think Mindy would like to be a racer.
No,
Yeah.
no, I'm definitely
Fast
running
guy.
it.
Yeah, we
No,
we
I'm not
definitely
fast,
need
but
run-
I
we
do. I
definitely
can
need
run
runners.
it.
Yeah, that's what we need. Runners by far, and walkers. Anyone wants to sign up. Kids is a lower rate than adults. It's $10 less. It's $25 for adults, $15 for kids, and then on race day it's $30 for adults, $25 for kids.
Well, thank you, Michael, not only for doing this and for choosing such a perfect Pleasantville charity, not only one that has resonance for the community, but for you personally, and for having done such a bang-up job of this. And I certainly can pledge my assistance in whatever way we can, and the village as well. And we need everybody in the village of Pleasantville out there running, walking, or ambling along on behalf of this charity.
And Michael, who gave you those pink folders? Was it Mrs. Gambino?
These?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Could I just pass this out to you?
Yes,
please do.
Yes, please. Thank you so much. Good luck, Michael.
Thank you.
You did a great
Thank
job.
you.
You really did a great job. No, I didn't get
Yeah,
one.
you missed Mindy there.
I have 4. but-
Oh, fine.
Oh, okay.
I'll share.
Yeah, seeing that you're going to be doing all that
Peters,
running.
yeah, he's got to
Thanks for your help.
No, you have to do the posters. I just want to see that. Can I see that?
All right.
How many hills I have to go up,
Pay your
Michael.
entrance fee if you run. You have to run.
All right. Thank you.
I don't want to kill them.
Thank you, Michael.
Who's going to do the video version?
The second item on our list is the periodic visit of our esteemed building inspector, Mike Testa, who is here to report on what's going on in the building department and activity around the village. Welcome, sir. Good to see you, Mike.
Hello, Mayor, members of the board, general public.
Let me just say before Mike starts that being a building inspector is a venture that requires a lot of unexpected work, including things like getting called late at night because Mavis Tire is on fire and trees have fallen on houses and this, that, and the other thing. And Mike can be counted on not only to do his usual great job, but to do so with good spirit. And I want to take the opportunity to thank you for it.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I just kind of like to bring you up to speed as to some of the items that are happening around the village of Pleasantville. And just to start off, first of all, one of the big projects we have going on right now is the renovation of 160 Marble Avenue, which is called Louis Linguini's. It's the old Sola Luna property, and right now we've undertaken major renovations on the outside of the building, facade improvements.
Looks really good.
As well as interior improvements, which involve new handicap bathrooms, a new handicap ramp in the rear, major kitchen renovations, and general building appearances. And if everyone has driven by recently, you're going to see that they're putting on the Spanish tile right now. It looks wonderful, and it's going to be a great asset to the community once it gets up and running.
And when will that be?
That should be maybe by the end of this week, early next week.
Good.
So they are ready to go. They just had the health department approvals, and we're waiting on the final review from the health department. One of the next projects we have, which is a proposed project, is Prospero Winery over at 134 Marble Avenue. Mr. Prospero has made an application to our planning commission right now to basically, if you drive by 134, you'll see the archways. He's going to be sealing up those archways with an extension, which will be a retail extension. He needs some more retail space and general facade improvements. So that's phase one of a multi-phase proposal. The second phases are going to involve possibly a catering hall and a big expansion in the back, as well as some lower level wine stores. So right now, the first phase is this expansion of the retail, and that the other phases would be yet to come. Nice, interesting project, which is going to improve the entryway to the village, is 2-18 Washington Avenue. It's the MSPLV LLC. It's Stephen Strauss's property, which is in back of, it's the buildings that Dunkin' Donuts is located in over on the parking lot here. What we're doing is they're in conjunction with the Village Board of Trustees. Obviously, they are working to try to create a rear entryway to these parcels, which is going to look like a front facade. So in essence, it's going to face Washington Avenue as the principal facade, and the rear of the buildings are now going to be improved to look like an entryway. So instead of having the back of a building that's dull and dreary, what we're going to have is a beautiful, nice facade with new entryways and new signage. So it's going to look really sharp. I've seen the preliminary designs, and right now they have made a submission, so we're ready to go. We've also included in that relocation of the dumpster enclosure and moved that into the side of the building by the Metro North in that area. So it's been pretty, we're looking forward to getting that done. We have a new wine bar that's gone on months back, Bonatage Wine Bar over 10 Marble Avenue. It is wonderfully redone, and the gentleman who runs the beauty salon adjacent to it is the actual owner there, Paul. And he's done a fantastic job inside of that, and if anyone gets a chance to go visit it, it looks really wonderful.
Is he going to be able to expand out back?
He is attempting to. He's not sure if he wants to pursue it, but we've gotten a go-ahead if he wants to put outdoor dining in the back there, if he wants to. So he will have to create a secondary exit corridor if he wants to do that through the garage area that's adjacent to it. So he's pondering the loss of a part of the garage versus the exit. So that's the biggest thing right now. But he is considering it. We have a 42 Wheeler Avenue, 30, which is LLC, was recently renovated with interior renovations and facade treatments. It's right along Wheeler Avenue here, and they did a wonderful job, both inside and out. And Peter, you could attest to that as well as you, Brian.
I can,
You
yes.
are tenants there. They've done a fantastic job, and it's up the building in terms of fire safety and things of that nature of a building that has always been an eyesore, now has become an asset in our community. PNM PV Realty, which is known as 59 Marble Avenue, aka Amanjeri, is the new location on Marble Ave. They are currently in the Old Village, and they're moving down to Marble Avenue. They've basically completed the exterior of the improvements that they're going to be doing. They're in the process right now of piping and putting the electric in on the inside. It's a combination of a new Italian restaurant with an outdoor dining cafe. Part of that cafe was an arrangement between the village and the planning commission, as well as the village board, to acquire some portions of village land to use as an outdoor dining, and they've recently just poured the outdoor patio, and it came out really nice. The parking lot is the next that they're going to be working on right now, and they have an empty retail store on the right side. They have a karate studio in the back and 2 apartments in the back of that, so it looks really nice, and there's also a rear parking lot with about 20 spaces in the back.
And that retail entity is still for lease?
That is
They
still
haven't
for
leased
lease,
it
so
yet.
if anyone's interested, there obviously is an open lease arrangement there. Dunkin' Donuts has done some interior improvements over at 505A Bedford Road. That's out on the side by Cooley Street. It involves some major renovations to some of the equipment that they had inside, just a general update. So that has been completed, and it came out really nice. No substantive changes on the outside, but just an improvement on the inside. We have a new veterinary care facility up in 140 Bedford Road. It's called Veterinary Care of Mount Pleasant. It was where the old chiropractor used to be, next 2 doors down from Michael's. And it's a new care for animals and cats, dogs, whatever. Wonderful woman runs it, and it's from what I understand, it's doing very well. One Way Deli, Wheeler Avenue. We had a situation where we had a little dreary space there, and they've improved this really beautifully there. They put a new hood system in, fire suppression system in, improved the inside of the building, put some seating in there. We have a nice little trendy deli right on Wheeler Avenue now, so it's been an asset. Capitol Grill, which is on 501 Marble Avenue. 501 is the last parcel in the village of Pleasantville that's across the street from McDonald's. It's partially in the village, partially in the town of Mount Pleasant. What they're doing there, that actually we just renovated the whole inside of the building, and now in fact I just found out they actually have closed their doors for some financial reasons. So as quick as they opened, they did close down. Carmine Forgione, 95 Marble Avenue, is proposing a big addition on the left side of the building on 95 Marble. It's going to be an expansion where you could put the cars inside of the building and do all the debris inside the building instead of leaving it out. Part of the approval by the Planning Commission that he brings the garbage inside and doesn't leave it out except for when it gets picked up. So that will be a help to get rid of an eyesore along Marble Avenue, which is one of the goals that we've been trying to accomplish through the master plan over the last couple of years and the Marble Avenue corridor study, which involved the improvement of these sites, which I think we're achieving that goal parcel by parcel as we go down Marble Avenue. A-Home, which is on 55 Pleasant Avenue, has been approved by the Planning Commission. What it is a proposed accessory apartment and associated improvements to the existing vacated building previously owned by the state of New York. We're in the process of removing an oil tank right now, and then the next phase, I've met with the architects and the engineers. The renovation is set to go. We're just waiting for the actual transfer of title from the state and the county, I believe.
And you're waiting for county approval, which goes in front of the housing planning tomorrow,
Okay.
1:30.
Great. Hopefully it
I'll
will
let
be
you
a
know.
success because it's in dire need of improvements, and I
Yes.
know they are willing to do these improvements, which will be a good thing. Club 401 Partners, Inc. This is a unique little project over on 401 Irvington Street. It's a family party center that was recently approved. What it is, it's a children's party facility. Basically what it is, it's going to have DJs, maybe some bands, some parties, some catering events that you could bring your kids there or set up parties for, multiple party rooms. It's adult supervised, so you can drop your children off. Once they're inside the establishment, they cannot get out unless they actually go home. In other words, they're not going to let them go in and out of the building, so they are going to be totally supervised where they have adult pickup and drop off. And that's going to be a unique little adventure for the village. Where we had Public Safety review it, we've had the Planning Commission review it, and we feel that as part of the Planning Commission approval, the resolution has kind of adopted all kinds of criteria necessary for them to function properly there. So that's in the works right now. They're maybe 3/4 of the way framed inside and working on the outdoor wheelchair accessible ramp now. We have Prime Petroleum Incorporated, which is on 1 Broadway. Recently, the Planning Commission has approved a convenience store in conjunction with the existing gas station. I.e., it was quite controversial in terms of the initial conversion. It allowed the village to kind of think out what we wanted. We changed hours of operation to not allow this facility not to operate past 10 o'clock in the evening and open up no earlier than 6 a.m. in the morning unless it was staff on site. So we are now working to issue a building permit with the architect of record, and that should be hopefully done within the next couple of weeks. They've come in and straightened out everything they needed to do in terms of the code compliance issues. Little Village Playhouse / Chappaqua Drama Group over on 220 Tompkins Avenue. It's a group that wishes to establish a theater-type facility over in 220 Tompkins Avenue. We've secured approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals. We are back before the Planning Commission, I believe, in the next meeting or the second meeting coming up in October. And the purpose is for a formal site plan approval. We met with the interior designer, and the next step now is to work out the little quirks of the theater access, the lighting, site lighting, things of that nature. So that's the biggest thing on its effects on the neighborhood and how we try to minimize that effect. Metro PCS New York, 345 Castleton Street. We added a new wireless telecommunications antenna up there, which was a little astray from the original approval, which was a monopole. It's still a monopole, but we added on a exterior antenna array so that we could have a 6th carrier, and it worked out quite well. So it's a leasing facility through the Village of Pleasantville, which allows us to lease another carrier, and hopefully we could actually maybe consider doing that where we could get a couple other carriers on the pole if the heights allow it, which will allow us to get additional income for the village. Westchester Table Center over on 175 Tompkins Avenue. This is probably one of the most foremost gaming facility that I think Westchester has received here. It's a gem for our community, and it's a wonderful place where we have table tennis championships, crossword puzzle championship, anything to do with gaming. It's amazing. Mr. Schwartz has I think, foresees, he had a dream to do this, and he came before the board and said exactly what he was going to do, and he actually implemented it on site. Anyone out here who has a chance to go see it, go witness it. It's really the neatest thing in Pleasantville, and I wish him the best of success.
That's run by Will Schwartz, who's a Pleasantville resident and also the New York Times crossword puzzle editor.
Champ, yeah. Ronnie Greco at 465 Bedford Road. It's a proposed 3-story building renovation. That's the cutout you see right here on Memorial Plaza. He is proposing a first floor retail and second and third floor apartments. So two apartments on the second floor, 1 apartment on the third floor. So he has worked out the details with the architect. We have some minor variances that we need to obtain to make this come true, and hopefully we'll have this. He'll be hopefully before the next Planning Commission meeting. It's going to look pretty neat. It'll fill that hole up there, and hopefully get some additional housing in the village that we need. Let's see, Lucy's Lounge, 466 Bedford Road. We've changed the use from a tavern to now a restaurant with bar facilities, and they've undertaken the addition in the back of the property, which involves 3 stories. The upper level is going to be a glass atrium area where you can overlook certain parts with windows, and it's going to be really neat, open to the sky in certain areas. They have framed up the building right now. The windows are due to be put in shortly, and the interior HVAC guys are in process right now, as well as the electricians and plumbers. So I suspect that within the next couple of weeks you'll see that building totally enclosed, and it'll be finished on the outside. It'll also involve some drainage that's going to go through the village parking lot down to the corner of our catch basins, which will keep any stormwater issues that we have to a minimum. Pleasant Village Estates, aka CV Pierce, over on Bedford Road. That's an approved 6-lot subdivision that was approved about 5 years ago. The owner has been in all kinds of financial troubles and issues over the years, and we finally, I believe, have made some headway. We've had the applicants come in. We've talked about getting a submission to the Architectural Review Board. I've seen the preliminary drawings for one particular lot. It looks spectacular. There are still issues of trying to sell the subdivision itself, so hopefully that will progress and at not a snail's pace as it has been.
They might build a first house
They
as
are.
a model?
Actually, no, to sell. I think
see.
they're going to go right to a person. The problem is just trying to get all the improvements. It's going to be a dedicated village road, which involves water, sewer,
Right.
and things of that nature. So that has to actually be put in, bonds and everything. So that's the issue that we need to deal with the contractors. They have
They
to.
wouldn't build a house till they have a buyer for it?
I don't believe they would.
I see.
So I think that's where we've
Right.
left it with those guys. Don Juan's Restaurant up in 2 Broadway. It's a wonderful new Mexican restaurant, bar and restaurant facility that took over the old 2 Broadway. Mr. Rodriguez has made us phenomenal improvements inside, just in terms of the ambiance of the building and the outside and inside. And it's a trendy little place we have in the village now. Joseph Eppolito, 98 Washington Avenue. This is one of our major eyesores in the village. This is a building across from the firehouse on Washington Avenue that I had recently condemned. We've been in contact with the bank. We've been in contact with the lawyer. The banks are in the process of foreclosing. The problem is the foreclosure and the speed at which this takes place is it's just like a snail. And we've met with the contractor to try to put some fencing up to try to minimize any attractive nuisances for kids for skateboarding and things of that nature in the basement level, and hopefully we'll be successful in getting them to stay out of there. Right now, there's major damage done inside that needs to be rectified, and as far as the building is concerned, I believe it's going to be, certainly once it goes to a public auction, which is I think where they're heading with this, once it does go to that, I think someone's going to get a beautiful building for a right price. However, there is going to be a lot of money that's going to have to be spent to fix it up, which is sad that it's a new building and it hasn't even been occupied, and the damage that has occurred to it needs to be
How has the
finalized.
damage occurred to it?
Well, we got damage from children, graffiti, we got broken pipes, we got a lot of nuisances activity in there, and it's sad, but that's the case. We're trying to make it safe so that we don't have any instances over there. Right now, that's our goal, is just to get it safe so no one can get in there. But that hopefully should be resolved. I mean, the banks are trying to do it, but no one's willing to spend the money to do it because you're probably talking about $1 million to fix it up by the time you get going. It's a lot of money. Sarles Lane Warehouse. Sarles Lane Warehouse, as you know, has been one of the sore points in the village of Pleasant for years. However, I'd like to report that is now one of the most charming little developments that I think the village has seen in recent years. We had an old warehouse building that was pre-existing non-conforming in the village, and what we've done is we have, the owner has sold it off, and a developer came in and basically created five new housing units there, single-family residences, 2 in the town of Mount Pleasant, 3 in the village of Pleasantville. And we now have a beautiful little streetscape along Sarles, and up on Mountain, it actually improved. It was just a steep incline up there, and right now we got a little character to the neighborhood. I think one of the tricks the developer did was to, first of all, put a foundation in, and it was a modular house. And before he set the modular, he actually landscaped and seeded and sodded and finished the outside. So the outside was actually completed before the house was set. So it was a unique approach on at least one of the houses, and it worked out well, and they all have since sold. So I'm not sure if the ones on the hill up in the town is sold, but I know that all the ones in the village have since sold, which I believe has helped also the values of the properties surrounding it, where before it was an eyesore, now it's an asset. Cass Realty Company, 21 Paulding Street. We had some major renovations go inside. Just to backtrack a little, back in the 60s, there was an illegal conversion of a second floor in the building. The person went to go sell this, and what happened was we did some research. We found out that the renovation that was done in the 60s was not done without any building permits. As a result, we had the person put in they got a new elevator in there, new stair systems, new handicapped accessibility, streetscape improvements along Marble Avenue, as well as some right-of-way encroachment agreements from the Board of Trustees, which worked out really well to allow that streetscape to happen. and some facade renovations to CarQuest. So I think all in all, we improved that whole section right down on Marble. So kudos to the owner and the new buyer who actually did the work to get that legalized.
And
we have-
CarQuest Auto Parts is going to keep both
They
the
are
old
gonna-
side as well as the new.
They're going to keep their side, the basement, and part of the first floor on the left. So they worked out quite
Great.
well. New York City DEP, they have undertaken some recent alum plant improvements. It's the plant up on Broadway. And what they're doing is putting a new caustic soda system and other ancillary piping and associated improvements to improve the, I would guess you would call it the water quality approach for the New York City water. They feed directly into our aqueduct, so those improvements have been approved by the Planning Commission. Some of them involve some buffering, some screening, and some minor changes, but that building has undertaken some facade treatments over the last few years, and it looks quite well compared to what it used to look like with a clapboard building. It's now stuccoed and looks really nice. Asian Fusion Restaurant, 25 Wheeler Avenue. This is one of our areas that have been a frustrating area for me personally, but hopefully with the new owner, Andy Lynn, he has made a committed effort to try to get this building up and running. We've completed our sheetrocking over there. We're in the process of finishing up some sprinkler piping, etc. And if everything goes well, hopefully by the first of the year, and maybe sooner, we should hopefully get this restaurant open, which is a new Asian fusion restaurant. New York State DEP is in the process of doing some stream bed improvements off of Nantahagen. They have yet to make an application to the Planning Commission for a wetlands approval, but they have, I think, discussed this with the Board of Trustees with regards to some encroachment agreements and right-of-way improvements. Hopefully that will be taken effect shortly. Recreation Center, the Village Recreation Center over at 359 Bedford Road. We have basically mothballed the building. We've got some improvements done to the roof, to the windows, to the ventilation systems in there, and to try to just circulate the air. We have some automatic vents and systems in there. Fixed up the heating system, got that up and operational, so at least we could keep the building from hopefully getting destroyed any further, but that was done by Dennis Adams Contracting. So we did succeed in that. We are in the process right now of just trying to just clean up some stuff that happened recently up there, so we'll get that taken care of. Recreation Center over on Marble. The proposed Recreation Center, we have met with the architect, we've met with Patty, and
That's the old ambulance corps.
the old ambulance
Right.
corps, Bob Middlestad, and we've attempted to try to basically take the original approved plans and try to just slash where we can feel that we had any unnecessary expenses. And I believe that when he comes back with the revised design, I think you're going to find that we're going to hopefully slash that down to a reasonable budget that hopefully the board will be able to consider, which is substantial changes as far as cutting, things we don't necessarily need. We have, I'd like to talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, use of generators also. I think one of the big issues with Hurricane Irene and other similar storms that we've had is that it has resulted in a lot of people becoming home improvement contractors overnight. And what's happened is, actually, a friend of mine actually lost his house up in Purdy's by trying to put a generator in when he didn't know really what he was doing as a contractor, and he burned his house down. So it's important to understand, first of all, you need permits to install generators. There's two types of generators. There's a portable generator, which you could just, pull around with you, a small little handheld or a small little pull around, and that could be done with an extension cord. Those are pretty innocuous. Those are straightforward. As long as you don't leave them running inside the house, they belong outside so that any products of combustion are outside. Then there's the permanent style generators that actually go on when the actual power loss occurs. Those are more critical, I think, where you need licensed contractors installing these licensed gas companies. They're usually done natural gas or propane with battery backups. And these items require not only compliance with the building code, but they also require compliance with regards to distance separations from property lines, from houses, and also zoning compliance because they're classified as a structure. So just remember that a lot of people are attempting to try to put these in. They do need appropriate permits and zoning compliance, and on generators, I'd be glad to meet anybody to go over these particulars. And I think they're a great item, but you need to be careful with them to make sure they're done right, else they can be deadly.
Mike, on that point, a couple of people I've followed a conversation with have talked about getting a manual transfer switch.
Yes.
Which would allow a portable generator to be driving some of the circuits through your regular household wiring.
Yes.
Is that an activity that requires a permit or
Yes,
just a licensed electrician?
that is actually probably, that is the scenario that burnt this gentleman's house down.
Uh-huh.
What happens is when
Didn't
you
do
put
it
a
right.
manual transfer switch in, you need to have it wired by a licensed electrician.
Yeah.
And they're going to only control a certain amount of circuits, usually up to maybe 5 or 6 circuits.
Depending on the size.
On the
of generator.
size.
Right.
And typically, you're going to make sure that your electrician wires this properly so that when the power actually does kick on, it doesn't kick on with the generator running and start to fry the wires. So
Uh-huh.
that's the one thing you need to be careful of. And there's online and there's neutral positions, and you got to just make sure it's wired properly.
So anybody who's contemplating that does need a building permit?
They do. They
Okay.
need a permit, and they also need a New York State Board of Fire Writers approval for the electrical that was done,
Okay.
or one of our licensed inspection agencies for electrical. Basically, last but not least, I have saved a funny little thing. Hopefully, we have a proposed for a hookah bar. A hookah bar is
That's not here at 80 Wheeler.
it is not here at 80 Wheeler. It is a contemplated right now. I don't know if it's going to go through, but it's obviously going to require a zoning variance just for a use interpretation. What it is basically an
How are we
ancient.
interpreting the use of a hookah?
Well, a hookah is basically an instrument that allows you to smoke non-tobacco products, non-illegal products, and it's kind of like an Egyptian type pipe, and you smoke these. I'll read it to you. It's an instrument for smoking in which the smoke is cooled by water, and then it goes on to say things about tobacco,
Fancy bomb.
etc. So it is a new fad, I guess, down in the city, etc. But
Biggest thing on
it hasn't
college
worked its way into Pleasantville yet. But I know they are talking about it over on Bedford Road.
Whereabouts?
503 by the Cooley Street over there on Bedford Road.
Uh-huh.
As you go down by Bedford there, by 7-Eleven,
Uh-huh.
across the street. So they are going to need a use variance, obviously, for an interpretation. It's not something that I would consider a listed permitted use, but there's a lot of.
Even, is
Carvel
that
ice
a
cream
use
and a hookah
anywhere?
bar.
Well, I mean, it's not a smoke that's prohibited. So I don't know how you would classify it
Right,
under the
what would you
Westchester County Health
classify it?
Fire standards. So it has a lot of interpretation issues that have to be dealt with. But it's an interesting little concept.
They are legal.
They are legal.
They are, yes.
Yeah. So that's coming in the village.
Where exactly is that? What's in there now?
I believe there's a vacant tenancy there on the corner where the old chiropractor used to be.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
Yeah.
And pretty much that gives me a little, status of what's happened. I'd be glad to answer any questions on
More than a little.
any
More than a
activities or
little.
any
Yeah.
issues we have going on. I'd be glad to try to update you with anything if possible, you or the audience, anything.
It's thank you for that, Mike. And in an otherwise down economy, that has to be a statement of some optimism about our economic future here in
Sure
Pleasantville.
would.
To have.
I would say that. I mean, I've been here for almost 27 years, just in the village. This is probably the busiest we've seen our commercial base in the village since I've been here. Our residential is pretty status quo. It's little additions, alterations. What I see a lot of on residential is basically a lot of the kids are staying home now, so we have renovations to our attics and our basements, which pose a unique issue with regards to code compliance issues as far as head heights, emergency egresses, and things of that nature, sprinklers. And I think that's the trend of a lot of these communities in the future, including ours to an extent residentially, as far as renovations of existing structures. But the commercial base is really taken off here, and we still have the big property over there at the MLA there that is. We're waiting. Hopefully, something will happen that soon. I'm not sure, but
Right. I mean, as
that
we've
would be
commented
great.
before, we're
Not allowed to comment.
cautiously
Right.
cautiously optimistic
Yes.
that they will have very good news to report soon.
So our Marble Avenue, just on the board, the Marble Avenue corridor study that we did was a great foresight in terms of the village board's vision of what had to happen on that corridor. And I think almost property by property, we've actually seen that occur, all the way down to the central business hub in the village. We also have a little last parcel in the village on St. George Street was just acquired, and hopefully we'll see some commercial activity there in combination with maybe a residence. So that's pretty neat.
Can you update people on what's going on with Mavis Tire?
Yes, Mavis Tire obviously there was a electrical malfunction in one of the compressor units in the rear of the property, and it caused a fire that resulted in obviously the whole entire building, for the most part, becoming structurally unstable. The rear portion collapsed. The tractor trailer that was behind there, used for the storage of tires, actually physically melted in half. It's probably the size of that table now, not much bigger. We are there before they went to the Planning Commission. We referred them to the ZBA. They are at the ZBA for hopefully the next coming meeting in October to try to fast track this to allow them to get this thing rebuilt. They're proposing similar Mavis Tire, but instead of having like 2 garage bays, it's 8 bays going down into the site. Nothing outside. There will be no outside storage whatsoever. All totally contains tire storage inside the building, and it would involve knocking the entire building down and rebuilding. So it would be slightly elongated, basically the same width along the streetscape, but for the most part, knocked down and rebuilt.
Which they're looking to do fast track as
they are trying to, yes. And I mean, it's a straightforward building. But it's got some nice architectural flares. The architect is working with the Architectural Review Board to try to come up with a design that fits that character of the street.
What about Danielle Auto Body right next to
Danielle Auto Body, all of that damage has basically been, the damage to the vehicles there has obviously been cleaned up. It's all been cleaned up spick and span. There is some minor damage done to the Danielle building in the corner from heat exposure and some damage from the falling block. That we have an engineer's report on how to get that corrected, so I'm working with the owner to get that done. He's back in operation, fully back in operation. And we're working on our housing, as always, with our code officer, trying to get our housing and trying to keep that in check. And we're also getting now to the time of year. Obviously, we're going to have snow and ice, and we're not looking forward, but it is the reality, and we're trying to make sure our street intersections are going to keep clear, and trying to we met with the contractor who would be clearing snow and ice today in the event of emergency that the homeowner didn't do it or the business owner didn't do it. So we have a procedure that we have versus the one we had last year. This is going to be a little more streamlined and more accurate.
Now, the Greco property is the one you mentioned where in the last couple of months that rock adjacent to Memorial Plaza has been carved out.
That is correct.
He's envisioning coming forward now?
He's got it's all designed. I saw that he was in my office last
So that's
a week
great.
ago. He's all ready to go. He needs to go to the Planning Commission and then get referred to the ZBA and then back. So he has got it designed. It's, like I said, it's 3 stories with a small little roof alcove that connects the 2 buildings. So he could store his debris and garbage in the back there. And also on the opposite side, as a result of some of the excavation done by the rock, we've kind of determined the type of rock that we have, which helped the owner on the other side, which is Camilli Brothers. And what they're doing is I've seen a preliminary design by their architect to come up with a housing project in the back there on that vacant lot on the corner of Cooley, which is a 3-story complex.
Right adjacent to Mediterranean,
That is
across
correct.
from the
That
Art of
actual
Wine.
parking lot, the entire parking lot ended up on the hill also, which tiers up on the hill. And that's a housing project that's pending right now. They're working out the logistics of the costs.
Right, which would be great. That would be a great vacant lot, not only from a visual standpoint and as a contribution to the downtown economy, but
For sure.
but great piece of the tax
Yeah.
base.
And as you mentioned earlier, the Lane property, I mean, we removed that building and we got a nice, beautiful, stable base now as a result. So once we get that parking lot in, we could improve that section.
So is it fair to say that through the lens you have of talking to these owners and managers about their building issues, that people are positive about Pleasantville's prospect? It sounds like.
I would say, as
Yeah.
investing in the village and maintaining the village core, I
Right.
think I think they want to be here, and they're always constantly every day, dealing with phone calls on, can I do this, can I do that, and try to bring a business in. A lot of them. Again, we've tried to, over the years, just streamline the process through the Planning Commission, the ZBA, and the appropriate boards, and I think we've done that. And one of our biggest items we did was to actually eliminate work session meetings from the Planning Commission docket. So we all have regular meetings every meeting, so we could theoretically vote every meeting we have someone on there if we needed to. Depending if they needed public hearings and things of
Right.
that nature. But it's streamlined it a lot.
Well, let me say also that we've all been working hard to try to kickstart the commercial economy, but I have gotten feedback from any number of people that despite the fact that there are policies and procedures that have to be followed and laws that have to be followed, and you're the sometimes the bearer of bad news about how fast things can happen, we routinely get feedback about how efficient and thoughtful and helpful you are in helping to shepherd these things through. And
I appreciate that. Thank you.
we have beaten back a couple of adjacent towns that had designs upon you, and no wonder they do. So
Thank you. All right, thank you.
thanks an awful lot,
Thank you
Mike.
very much,
Thanks for
Right.
joining us, Michael.
I just want to pause here, just for a second, I'm going to switch tapes.
Okay, brief pause for tape switch. Welcome back. We just had a brief break there so Shane could switch the tape in the camera. Our next item is a public hearing on a local law amendment. Before we do that, let me ask if there's anyone else who wanted to say something, comments from the public before we go into the public hearing? Okay. Is there a motion to open a public hearing on a local law amending the zoning code, Chapter 185, Section 185-19, Central Business A1 District, to add provisions for temporary uses in the A1 zoning district?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the public hearing is open. Patty, you want to just set the background for this?
Sure, I'd be happy to. The village board had been asked a while ago to consider some opportunity to allow the Leduca Auto Body property located in an A1 zone to sell used cars. There had been a summons issued to Mr. Leduca for such activity on that property because it did violate the current zoning provisions, which did not allow used car sales in the A1 as accessory uses to the principal use, which was auto repair. So Mr. Leduca approached the board and asked for some remedy to help enable him to use his property incidentally for, on occasion, some used automobile sales, and perhaps on a more permanent basis under some regulations. So the village board had proposed to work out an arrangement whereby a temporary permit could be issued, which would not then require, or provide, I should say, an as-of-right zoning opportunity, but would allow a property owner to come to the board for a permit for a limited period of time to use property in a manner that's incidental but not offensive, so that there could be some opportunity for these types of arrangements to go forward without violating the zoning code. So tonight before you is a proposed local law that would allow in the A1 district not only this type of use but other temporary uses to be proposed and to be permitted by the village board under the review of the Planning Commission. It would allow uses that are not inconsistent or deemed incompatible to exist with a special permit. So we did refer this law to the county as a matter of course. We have to do that. The county did issue an opinion today that they felt that there aren't any concerns with respect to the county's administrative code, and no intermunicipal planning issues arise from the consideration of this particular local law. So that being the case, you also have some comments from your Planning Commission, which stated in part that there be some of the following included in either the actual permit language or the local law, and at this point I guess this would be in a permit, conditions of permit, that there would be some definition of accessory car use sales so we could have a clear understanding of what exactly that meant, that there would be some definition to the limits placed on sales and the number of vehicles that would be permitted on site as well as hours of operation. And so the purpose of tonight's hearing is to take any public comments with respect to the law, which would provide for certain temporary uses to coexist on a permit basis instead of an as-of-right zoning basis, and in particular in the A1 zoning district.
And, I mean, it would seem reasonable in the context of this discussion, since the local law is generic and not specific only to car sales, that the matters the Planning Commission brought up, definition of accessory car use, definition of the number of cars, hours, et cetera, would be specific to the individual permit, would you agree?
I think so. I think it's
Yeah.
conditions of the permit,
Right.
yes.
I mean, those wouldn't be appropriate to enter into the law itself anyway, since
Right.
it could,
Well, I wouldn't want that.
right, it could arise, used for some other subject. Is
And
there,
and it is in the permit. You know, those items are discussed as part of the conditions of the permit.
I think they legitimately need to be, yes. Yeah.
you can raise that if you want.
We do it for them.
Are there other comments from the board?
I think it's a very interesting approach to a use that's a number of people have expressed some concern over having as a permanent as of right use. And it gives, I think, our board the opportunity to review how the use is being administered and how neighbors are relating to that use within their backyards, quite literally. So I think it's a good approach, and I'd be interested to hear more about it from Mr. LaDuca's team, as well as the neighbors that may be here tonight.
Yeah.
Well, we hear.
Yep.
sort of-
If there are any members of the public who would like to speak, come on up, let us know who you are and what you think.
Good morning, or good morning. I wish.
It's not been that long.
Yeah, I know, right. Actually,
you know
I got
our
up at
meetings
5 a.m. this
now.
morning, so who knows when the morning is.
Right.
Good evening,
Yes,
Mr. Mayor, members of the board. My name is David Cooper from the law firm of Zarin and Steinmetz. We represent Mr. LaDuca in this matter, the original petitioner in this matter. We're here tonight to speak in favor of the proposed temporary permit before your board. In sum, we believe it's a creative solution to a unique problem faced by one of the businesses in this village with a loyal following, a long-time loyal following that would allow him to stay solvent, stay in the village, and put a use on his property that has already been deemed acceptable in the A1 district, just not in the combination that we're proposing or would be proposing should this permit be enacted. It allows for the proper village control over any type of permit holder. The permit holder would come before this board first, and this board would be able to assess the proposed uses, the combination of proposed uses, and by the way, the permit makes sure that only uses which are either consistent with the accepted, already deemed accepted uses in the A1 district. For example, I can throw out what Mr. LaDuca would propose is a principal automobile repair shop with an accessory sales. Now, in the A1 district, a principal sales shop can have an accessory repair shop. We're just seeking to reverse those uses, and I'll get into that in a second. The village board, your board, would be able to place conditions on that use, the where, when, how, et cetera. Particularly some of the comments that we just heard from the planning commission would exactly be written into the permit. I think this board is correct. You probably don't want to put that type of language in the general permit, but as soon as an applicant were to come before you, this permits you to do so. Also, if that applicant were required to go before the Planning Commission for site plan approval, as any applicant would if they're seeking any change of uses or configuration of their lot, then the Planning Commission also has its normal site plan review. And at the end of the day, the permit is a temporary permit, and the conditions in the permit that this board places on, as well as the site plan conditions placed upon the normal site plan from the Planning Commission, would be imposed upon the applicant. And every 2 years, if that permit holder wanted to renew the use, they would have to come before this board and establish that there have been no violations of the conditions, there have been no changed circumstances in the proposed use. So if, for instance, the use becomes much larger than originally proposed, the board can say, what you had originally proposed to us is not what has been going on the site, and so therefore the permit itself either has to be changed or revoked. What it does is it promotes business without threatening the existing character of the district, A1 district, and I think that's the most important part, an attribute of this temporary permit.
Just a quick little background, really more for the record, because I know you've heard this before, but I think it's all been during work sessions. LaDuca Auto has been operating a repair business in the village for about 10 years, actually a little bit over 10 years. A successful business, but due to the overhead of operating that business on that type of lot, as well as the current economy that we're in, he has fell into tax arrears and has been having problems keeping afloat. Staying ahead of the overhead, even though the business is coming in. What's clear to Mr. LaDuca is he needs some additional revenue, some ability to use his property to generate some additional revenue. He's found that accessory car sales and a discrete accessory car sales is sort of a natural fit to repair, because a lot of customers will come into the repair shop and say, I've got a car, can you repair it? And by the way, do you know anyone that would want to purchase it? And vice versa, someone may come in and say, look, I'm looking for a certain type of car, have you fixed one lately? What Vince has realized is that he has a very discrete area, a small area in the back of his lot, which is well screened, set back from residences, really next to the parkway, but there's a whole bunch of trees there, so you can't even see it, where he could essentially clean up and turn into what would look like just a parking lot. There wouldn't be any signs, there wouldn't be any marketing material, but essentially would just be cars back there where occasionally if somebody wanted to come and look at the car, they could, and he could sell it. It's anticipated that type of discrete use would allow him to substantially improve his bottom line and stay in the village and continue operating as he has. The problem is, of course, the A1 district doesn't permit a repair shop to sell used cars as an accessory use. So what we needed was a way to be able to essentially reverse the opposite configuration, allow a repair shop to sometimes sell cars. What's before the board is a result of numerous conversations, both with the Planning Commission and your board, as well as your village attorney and Patty, to come up with the best way to go about allowing that without any substantial impact to the district. I've gone through the real highlights of the permit. What I would just really want to highlight again is that it really gives this board a unique oversight over the use, not typically permitted under any of the special permits, and certainly not as of right uses. The applicant or the permit holder will be coming back to your board most likely every 2 years to establish that nothing has changed and that the conditions are still being met. Therefore, this board has a lot of oversight, as well as the village in and of itself will have a lot of oversight. I think the last thing I would like to do is submit some letters in support that Mr. LaDuca has obtained in anticipation of the hearing. We do have some supporters here tonight, but not everybody could come and speak, but they did want to put in a letter. So I'm going to put those letters in the record and really would echo what these residents have said, in that we request that the board issue a negative declaration tonight on the issue of the temporary permit, and then also vote to adopt the temporary permit. So I can answer any questions, or if not, I can get out of your hair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. And as you rightly point out, we've discussed this at length,
Yes.
both with you and Vincent, village attorney. Planning Commission's been involved as well to arrive at this proposal. Is there anyone else who would like to comment?
Thanks. Here's a copy of the county's letter for you. Nice to see you. Thanks.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. James Caggiano, 89 Sauls Lane. I'm here based on the situation, the conditions of and it's a temporary permit that you have an oversight, and here the applicant LaDuca has to come back to the board, I guess over 2 years as stated tonight.
Right.
I am in support of this proposed change. I've been one of LaDuca's first clients when it was John Needy. Went from John Needy immediately to Vincent, and I just followed up. Obviously, it's very convenient to us in that area of the village, walking and having your car repaired. But Vincent's been a very honorable, car service person over the years, and I feel he's just going to, continue with that and do the right thing by, and meet the conditions of the village. So I just want to give my support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Yvonne Van Court. I'm one of the owners of the Village Bookstore, and I would also like to speak in support of Mr. Duca's application. As a business owner in town, we all need lots of flexibility to keep our heads above water in this economy and on forward. It's also been past use of that property. I know people as long as 25 years ago who bought cars, used cars, from Mr. Nitty. It can be done discreetly. I think that if you have a service person whom you trust and know you're not going to get some clunker from, you want to keep that kind of business profitable, viable in the village. He also does good stuff for the rest of us, because while cars are in service, his customers come and shop the rest of the village. So I'd like to see him continue in that location, and I would really appreciate your positive consideration of this law and his application. Thanks.
Thanks, Yvonne.
Hi, members of the board. My name is Sean Agan, 127 Pleasant Avenue. I also am a customer of Mr. Luduca, and again, I think I just want to reiterate, I'm also in support of this, especially the flexibility of being able, and the trustworthiness of having an auto mechanic, auto service in the neighborhood is definitely well appreciated, and I would hate to see this fine establishment and fine service disappear from Pleasantville. So I definitely support his application as well.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca Almodovar. I live on Temple Place, and I'm also a loyal customer of Vincent's. He's always around if you need him when his hours are done and there's an emergency. He doesn't say, "Oh, I'm closed. I'll see you tomorrow." He takes care of all the local people, and it's nice to have someone local who you trust as well, and not the big Ford people or Subaru. Not that they're bad, but it's nice to have a local person around that you want to give your business to, especially if you live in Pleasantville. It's nice to give back to the community. So I'd like to see him stay as well.
Thank you. Anybody else? We've heard both tonight and in the past quite a few people making comments of that sort, and it certainly is not every business that has customers who come out at 9:15 to say that. So, Vincent, obviously, you can take that as a high compliment. In the end, our deliberations, I think all of us feel the same way about trying to help a local business. Our deliberation was to try to find a means by which we could accomplish this without opening other kinds of problems around the downtown. And I think through the negotiation we've gone through, it's certainly my view that we've arrived at that. So, anybody else have anything more to add?
I can't remember the last time we had a land use decision that had no negatives and all positives with comments from the public, and I was on the planning board for 13 years. I don't think we ever had one of those.
All right, the tide is the tide has turned.
I have to compliment you, Vincent.
Well,
Close it now, right?
I think what makes this application, I think what makes this whole thing unique is, well, there are a lot of things that make it unique, but it's a unique piece of property in the village. And even though the real concern among people, whenever we talk about used car lots, is what we all think of when we think of used car lots, and that can be, at least in this case, the idea is to try to make it something different. And I always contend that, by the way, full disclosure, I am also a customer of Vincent's. It just seems to me that in the world today, we should be driving our cars longer, or we're going to be driving our cars longer, and B, cars are sold in a different way. We use the internet, and things are, it's a different world. So we don't quite know what that world is, but this allows us to see if this world can work, and if this can benefit Leduca and can benefit other businesses as they as Yvonne says, strive to survive in the economy today. Many of us are businessmen in this town, and the world is a tough place. And it just seems to me that we're all fighting hard to support this town, support our businesses, support our family. And if we can do that in a way that, especially in this case, allows him, to do something new and different legally that we can sort of monitor and make sure it's all working well, then this is a huge win-win situation for the village. So,
Just to correct though, this law though came about. Steve's right. Tonight we heard nothing but positive, but in previous nights we've heard people who had reservations, and the way this was structured was in part to provide Vincent the flexibility, but also to address their concerns as well. So it is, I think that the tenor of those conversations were productive. They weren't screaming and shouting. They were people who had legitimate concerns and put them forth in a very understandable manner that allowed us to figure out how to address them without them feeling like they were being run over. And so the flexibility of this is to help businesses, but indeed it has the other side that the business have to stand up and respond to what's in that permit as well, and to be flexible and to show this type of responsibility back to the people that that are fearful if they're going to be impacted negatively too. And to his credit, Vincent has demonstrated very much of a willingness to do that, and his neighbors have responded likewise in accepting that trust from him that I think he's earned. So go forth and prosper, and hopefully the next meeting will be a lot quicker than this.
All right, thank you, Jonathan. Well said. Any further comments? Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing is closed. Patty, do we need a secret resolution?
You should state that there is negative declaration of impact. That's a consequence of, your
Okay, so
Council's
we'll go to the
review.
resolutions in a moment. Just wanted to say two things before we do that. One is before we lose our audience, we've got a caller. To remind everybody, as we heard earlier from Michael Bloom about the race for the Tino Gambino Scholarship Fund, that is Saturday, October 29, and you can sign up at areep.com. So, do we have a call?
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on. Go ahead, Michelle.
Good evening, Michelle Lucia, 386 Bedford Road.
Hey, Michelle.
I was calling this evening to get an update on the signage that will allow our police department to enforce and prohibit the illegal truck traffic that we've been having on Bedford Road.
Okay, I know we passed the modification of the law and all of the above. Where do we stand on the signs? Do you know, Patty?
They're all up.
They're all up?
Everything's up.
Okay. You hear that, Michelle? Patty reports the signs are up, and we are now legally able to enforce them.
Okay, so I look forward to that enforcement. I mean, just the other night, there, was an 18-wheeler, and believe it or not, there was a tandem 18-wheeler coming up Bedford. So,
How they made the turn at the end, I don't know.
I think I saw it at the other end, to be
Uh-huh.
honest with you.
All right.
So what is the other end?
That tandem 18-wheeler.
Oh, yeah, well, it came right past my house.
Yeah, and I saw it up at the light, yeah.
I'm just wondering now, is there going to be, a full-out enforcement of this, or is it just going to be, once in a while if they catch a guy on Bedford Road?
Well, we'll have to defer to the police chief for the specifics, but I do know that we have had truck enforcement details in the past, and it would seem logical to do so again now that we have clarified and the law and establish the new signs.
And where is the signage? I haven't really noticed. I noticed by 117 as you're coming in from Pace going into the village. I did notice a new sign there, but
Yeah. I mean, I think that our obligation is at the perimeter of the village to notice it, right?
There's one down the other end.
Correct, Patty?
And there's one down at the other
Yeah,
end
there's
of,
Right.
both ends of Bedford Road.
right.
So, I mean, the point being, obviously, that Manville is the official truck route, the state road, and that Bedford Road is not. So, we'll have a chat with Chief Love as well about some truck enforcement details, and hopefully a little enforcement goes a long way in getting the word out to some of these truckers to go the other way. We
right.
obviously.
Okay, very good. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks,
Michelle. The other thing I wanted to mention, and we'll have a lot more to say about this as we get into budget season, as the winter approaches, but one of the amusing term used advisedly aspects of local government is that we end up in various ways receiving the largesse of Albany. The latest one, as you know, is that Albany passed a 2% tax cap. In fact, the governor went to several communities, Pleasantville being one of them, for ceremonial signings of the 2% tax cap. And remarkably, the bill that Albany will send us for our contribution to the pension that Albany manages will be far in excess of 2%, and the public relations line there is, quote, the first 2 points of the increase will be included in the cap, and you'll be able to exclude anything over and above the quote-unquote first 2 points of the increase. When they say that, they mean that the increase this year for non-uniformed employees will go from 14 point something to 17 point something percent. I'll give you the exact numbers when we actually present it in detail. Bottom line is that the first 2 points in the increase represent about a 12.5% increase in costs. So Albany's own bill to the Village of Pleasantville has gone a good bit of the way towards consuming the entire 2% increase that's permitted under the tax cap. So that would fall into the category of do as we say, not as we do. We'll have more to say about that as we get into the budget line. So, anybody else want to add anything before we go to the resolutions?
I'd better not.
I don't want to follow that.
Don't give them a chance.
All right, we need to add a resolution for a SECRA determination.
I think we could amend Resolution 2011-194 to add the following language: that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. Therefore,
Got that, Steve? This is you.
This is you.
Yeah.
I don't know that Steve needs to reread the entire.
That's basically it.
No, but he needs to read it in the...
And therefore, a negative declaration is declared?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Determination significance. It's a negative declaration.
Okay, so Resolution 2011, number 194, Steve.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the local law amending the local code, Chapter 185, Section 185-19, Central Business A1 District, add provisions for temporary use in the A1 zoning district as follows. And also resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby finds that the environmental impacts of this particular use will be negative, i.e. they will not rise to the level of having a significant environmental impact on the village per seeker. Amending Chapter 185 zoning, Section 185-19 Central Business A1 District, add under Section C, uses subject to special permit. Number 6, the village board, after a public hearing, may grant a special permit for a reasonable period of time, not to exceed 2 years from site plan approval, if necessary, for temporary structures and uses not otherwise permitted in the A1 district, provided that the village board deems that such structures and uses fall within the purpose and intent of the A1 district, are of comparable nature to the principal and accessory uses permitted in the A1 district, and will not be detrimental to the property within the vicinity of such uses. A, upon the expiration of a permit issued hereunder, the permit holder shall be entitled to return to the village board to apply to renew the permit every 2 years. The holder of a permit issued hereunder shall be entitled to a renewed permit every 2 years unless the village board, after due notice in a public hearing, determines by resolution that there has been a material change in operating conditions or evidence of a violation of one or more conditions of the permit and/or of any site plan approval necessitated by the initial issuance of the permit. The permit issued hereunder shall remain in effect during the processing of any renewal application under this section. B, in the event that the village board finds an applicant seeking to renew its permit has not complied with the conditions of said permit, the applicant shall have 60 days to bring the property into compliance with the conditions of the permit and may return to the village board to renew the permit within this period upon establishing compliance with the conditions of the permit. The failure of the applicant to comply with the conditions of the permit within the 60-day period shall result in the termination of the permit. More than one designation by the village board of noncompliance with a permit shall result in revocation of such permit. Section 2 has to do with severability, and Section 3 with effective dates.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Mindy, number 195.
Resolved that the pre-check register dated September 26, 2011, covering check numbers 20480 through 20561, has been received, and they are hereby resolved as listed below. The general fund, $168,311.70. The water fund, $111,230.68. The capital fund, $305,241.60. The refuge fund, $9,893.98. The pool fund, $2,879.87. Trust and agency fund, $1,850, for a total of $599,407.83.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Jonathan.
Result, the Board of Trustees has reviewed the minutes of the meeting held on Monday, September 12, 2011, and they're hereby approved.
Approved.
Let me just say, one piece of these minutes includes Mindy, who chaired the meeting because I was absent, and Jonathan was as well, mentioning the movie From the Ground Up, which is a documentary about 9/11 that was put together by Andrea Garbarini, and that was a remarkable 30-minute film that was actually shown, originally intended to be screened in the big theater at the Burns as a free screening, and it filled up so quickly they added a second free screening, and it was really an extraordinary
We
extraordinary
discussed
night.
it, yeah, it was just unbelievable.
And I would wholeheartedly recommend anybody who is interested to go to the website. I think you can Google From the Ground Up and find out more about it. The documentary was aired on PBS New York, I think the following night, PBS Long
A number
Island.
of PBS channels, yeah. But
And also on the Oprah Winfrey cable channel. So kudos to Andrea Garbarini, who
It's Garbarini, not Barberini.
Right. Yeah, we
Judy.
can adjust that typo, but
In the
was,
minutes, it states Barberini, it's Garbarini.
a great
Just wrong.
That's right, the B and the G's must be
a
crossed
great
out on
movie,
that side.
and a movie that reflects not only the resilience of the human spirit, but the spirit that Andrea has demonstrated over these 10 years. And proud to have that happen in the village of Pleasantville. Proud to have the Burns have facilitated it, and proud to have Andrea Garbarini and her family in our midst.
And PCTV.
Yes,
I would also say that I was at the Burns 10-year celebration where a clip of that movie was shown to those in attendance, as well as to Steven Spielberg and Ron Howard. And just sort of, in talking to people who had spoken to Spielberg, he was very moved by the clips. And you know, sort of this proof is what's going on in Pleasantville and what kind of spirit there is there. But I think hers came off very well, and she was there. Andrea was at the dinner, and it was just a great event. But it was great to see that clip being shown to Steven Spielberg.
So, bit of a divergence from approval of the minutes, but worthwhile divergences. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Brian, number 197.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the request from the Chamber of Commerce to use Jackson Alley on Saturday mornings from 9 to 1 to promote members and connect with the community. Said approval is subject to submission and approval of insurance certificates.
Is there a second?
Second.
Patty, you want to describe the plans here?
Well, we've been asked by the Chamber of Commerce to allow merchants to use Jackson Alley, I guess on days where our farmers market is in operation as well, in order to promote businesses that may want to have the opportunity to set up outdoor sales during market events as well.
Great idea.
So it brings a little, I guess, interesting relationship between, one particular element of the downtown to another, and draws off of each other, hopefully, and feeds some good energy back and forth. So I don't know who will be, setting up on what particular type of schedule, but they laid out a nice plan, to set up some tables and to have some displays in the alley, and they've provided insurance for those types of uses. So,
I think this is a good first step. I don't know if the chamber does this or if this is part of what they view as their function, but certainly over the years we've all heard the complaints sometimes by our business communities about the farmers market and also about the theater traffic, the downside of having a lot more people coming in the village. What I wonder is if there might not be an opportunity to leverage off this through the chamber to bring maybe a speaker or two in to help our business understand how to take advantage of a farmer's market or the theater to lever their businesses in a way that they might not otherwise be thinking. Because certainly 1,500 people a day at the farmer's market coming to visit the village, and the countless people that come at night to see the films, and during the day on Saturdays and Sundays, there's got to be an opportunity there for the positives far outweigh the negatives, I believe.
I think so too. We're heading into fall, so sometimes these things aren't as attractive for people to walk around, but certainly spring and summer months, people enjoy walking. And it would be nice to have these other things that will attract people to, circulate around the downtown, and the park on the perimeter.
The chamber has their annual meeting and have or their weekly and monthly meetings, and they have, a program aimed at helping the businesses think outside the box a little bit and capture some of this.
I certainly will pass that along.
And I think they are thinking in similar ways. I know that Peter Ryman and Andy Goodman offered some suggestions on behalf of the farm market about ways in which connections can be made, and I think that to some extent the proposal to use Jackson Alley in this way is also headed in that direction.
Yeah.
So,
It's a great step.
I think anybody that's downtown on a Saturday morning is struck by the number of people who are walking through the village with plastic bags full of food and things that they've gotten at the farmers market. And these are people walking up Washington and Manville and up Bedford Road. I mean, there are a lot of people walking through the village. So I think the use of Jackson Alley here, if you can channel them through Jackson Alley, is just a great idea.
I agree.
That you can get 1,000 people through Jackson Alley. That's good for everybody.
Yep.
So.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Number 198, Steve.
Resolves the Board of Trustees hereby approves the request from Pierce Drive residents to hold a block party on Saturday, October 1st, 2011, rain date October 2nd, from noon to midnight.
Is there a second?
Second.
Closing is from number 18 to number 41. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
It's always a
approved.
good time, this Pierce Drive.
Have a good time, guys. 199, Mindy.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby approves the request from the Recreation Department to hold the annual Ragamuffin Parade on Saturday, October 29th, 2011, beginning at 11:30 a.m. Rain date is Sunday, October 30th, and further authorizes the police chief to post no parking signs in Memorial Plaza starting Friday evening, October 28th, and to tow all vehicles in violation of this temporary parking restriction. It's
there a
also
second?
the same date as the run.
Second.
As I mentioned a little bit earlier, we are in discussion at the moment about ways in which we might move things around a little bit for the Ragamuffin Parade. Obviously, it's a tremendous event and one of the most popular events for all of us every year. We're trying to find a way to allow the Ragamuffin Parade party down at Memorial Plaza to coexist with the farm market. And our reasons for that are multiple, but in part we have lots of people who depend on the farm market, and we also have a bunch of farmers who were very, very badly hit by crop losses in Hurricane Irene and are anxious not to lose a possible selling day. So I would propose that we approve this subject to the final decision we make about exactly how the logistics work.
I just have one more comment that the week before, October 22nd, is the Halloween window painting contest sponsored by the Pleasantville Recreation Department, and the rain date is Sunday the 23rd.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. So be reminded, as Mindy said, the Halloween window painting is Saturday, October 22nd. Rain date is Sunday, October 23rd. Paintings stay up until November 4. Ragamuffin Parade is Saturday, October 29. Gathering at 11:30. Parade starts at noon, headed down towards Memorial Plaza. Exact details to follow about how the party gets structured when we get down to the plaza. Number 200.
Me?
Yes, John.
Resolution 200, otherwise known as the eBay resolution, authorization to surplus village equipment. Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby approves the surplus and sale of the following equipment. Take note, grab your pens. The 1983 dump truck, opening bid $2,000. 1996 small dump truck, opening bid $500. A 2000 police canine cruiser, $500.
Perfect if you have a dog.
We do have all the specs on this. The mileage, 117,000. It's white.
All right, listen.
Don't ruin my opportunity.
Quit jumping on my
5-year-old motor.
You're wrecking my cadence here.
Where's Vincent?
The 1981 dump truck, $2,000. A 1993 Suburban, $500. A 1983 dump truck, $2,000. A 1998 small dump truck, $500.
These are opening bids.
Opening bids, 1981 assault sander, $5,000. 1999 police Crown Vic, this is a hot one, $50, price to sell. A 1992 leaf machine, mind you, in the political correctness, we didn't call it a leaf blower.
No, it's
$50.
No, that's
It's not a blower.
What's a leaf machine?
It's the vacuum that we don't use it.
My bad, I'm sorry.
It's the opposite of a blower, it's just as
Mulching.
obnoxious.
And it has a blown motor, so.
All in favor? I'm sorry. Is there a second?
Please.
Second?
Second.
Second,
Get a
second.
So Patty, how does this sale work? We advertise it?
No, we have a third-party vendor we've been using for
Right.
years. It's a municipal auction house. They have a very large database of people interested in municipal vehicles. We actually do very well when we work
Right.
with them. So we send them photographs, we make sure that people pick up. We tell them that, there's no delivery, they have to come here to pick up, and they have a pretty good active
Is
list
it
of
a
bidders.
physical auction? They have
It's-
opening bids, people show up?
Yeah, they can inspect
that
the
works.
vehicles, we allow them to come here, we'll have an inspection date, but they'll post it for us with pictures, and they'll actually run it like eBay.
So it's online? It's
Yeah,
online,
yeah, and then
right.
they take a percent for doing it, but it's
I'd just like to point out that these
Nominal.
vehicles, at least, I think seven of them are a result of the police
Yes.
vehicles that were agreed to be sidelined as a result of purchasing the hybrid police vehicle that has garnered so much positive attention from those within the village, except for someone sitting next to me.
Yeah, we're getting
And
a whole
also-
whooping $550 if they even get bid on, and So you really can't call them retirement.
Well, of course, that narrow
Because
view.
one of them
that-
doesn't even run. The $50 one doesn't even run.
That narrow view, of course, overlooks how much gas those vehicles were using every year and how much was being spent.
I don't think that they were even.
Constantly on
guys.
repairing them, but no more. They are now being mothballed. And also a number of DPW vehicles that
Does
are
not run.
being, that are being, exactly, that's why we needed the new DPW vehicles.
Like they were using it.
I do think it's fair to say, and everyone would agree, that our goal in all of this is not only to get rid of stuff that clearly is of no value, but also to reduce...
Wait. Of limited
value. But
These are-
also...
I want some
bids.
One man's junk, another
These are
man's
just
gold.
teaser rates, these opening bids. We're going to clean up here.
We are also,
Oh, Mayor's bidding
and have
against
been
us.
for the last couple of years on the mission of trying to reduce the inventory of vehicles that we own, and so this represents part of it.
Streamlined
And I thank Steve Lopez for that, who has been a regular voice on that subject and has achieved some results here. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. That was the last resolution.
Please, $50 versus 50,000 is not a.
You know,
Is
the
there-
Crown Vics are not made anymore, so you might want to.
They're collector items, no doubt about it.
They made the
Brian,
last
where do you
Crown
want to
Vic.
put that, on your lawn ornament?
Is there any further business?
What
Did
do you
anyone
do with
else
it?
have anything they wanted to
Crown
add?
Vic.
Welcome, Patty Tanner.
Hi, I'm Patricia Tanner, 454 Washington Avenue, and I was just wondering if you could give me an update on what's happening with the Benenson property. I have some photos here, if you don't mind.
Sure.
There's one for each of you. That just shows basically the general neglect and disrepair of this property, and I was wondering what the status is.
I, as you know, have myself had a number of conversations with Sean Henderson from Benenson, and as you also know, both the county and the village have, Benenson as well as a couple of other properties have been served with summonses, and there is a process making its way through.
Summonses for property maintenance or the stormwater nuisance?
The stormwater nuisance came from the county, right?
Yeah, there's property
Yeah.
maintenance violations too. Those
Yeah.
pictures are Foxwood, by the way.
I'm sorry?
They're Foxwood.
Oh, I thought it was the triangular portion behind Benenson.
It's okay, but thank you. I mean, they're on
I
notice.
did contact Foxwood
Yeah,
prior
they-
to this, and they said it
They
wasn't.
got dumped on. I mean, they didn't dump. I mean, they got dumped on. Somebody went up
That's
there.
just one of like 5 things.
Somebody went up there and
Right.
dumped a whole bunch of,
Yeah, it's
trash.
happened in the past. I know we've
And they,
discussed
you
it
know.
prior, but there's also the general disrepair of that roadway.
I mean, as you know, that there has been discussion on the part of that owner about removing the roadway entirely.
Right.
That engenders, both the chance to make it better and make it worse at the same time, I suppose. Certainly, it's my sense that we are in the midst of doing everything we can reasonably do,
Okay.
and we will continue to do that.
But in the meantime, my property is subject to further damage. I mean, what you see there can easily flow downhill given the right circumstances.
I get that. I sympathize with that, and I know how difficult that has been. I've stood there myself, as you know, and in the course of Irene, we took some rather extraordinary steps in order to try to help you, and I think we're successful in that. Unfortunately, we don't own the property, and so we are managing this in the best way we can, which is through the legal process, just as you guys are attempting to influence it in the same way.
Okay, so can we confirm that he's received property maintenance violations?
Patty, is that a fair statement, or is
Yeah,
that?
he has, but I know Patty wants it qualified as to what the issues are. I don't have that list. I don't know what Steve is, I mean, the court has basically held all
Okay.
of those.
I mean,
hearings.
Those violations are matters of public record,
Yeah,
right?
they're
And
before the
we will be
court.
happy to let you know.
Because my concern is the stormwater violation. He would go before, he has appeared before the village justice and said, well, we're all working on a resolution. But it just seems to me that he's done so little to maintain his property. I think in some ways he's being sheltered by this group.
By us?
No, not at all.
Yep.
By meaning the other property owners are all working together, and I do appreciate that
Yep.
that has finally occurred.
Right.
They're looking for a global solution. But this particular landowner I mean, the property is disgraceful. It's amazing to me that this is allowed to continue.
Question of clarification. These pictures with the garbage and whatnot, this is this property or this is Foxwood?
Apparently, it's
Yeah,
Foxwood,
that's
although I did
Foxwood.
contact Foxwood prior to sending this to you.
So,
and
well, okay, you answered my question. I'd just like to know,
We're not-
what property, so are there any pictures I'm supposed to look at, or I can look at here? Or if I come up there, will I see that you need them to be summoned for,
Well, the drainage,
well, the drainage they've done though, right? They've summoned them on the
No, they're under,
drainage.
they're under
county
violation, yes.
The county has.
And we have too.
I mean, the problem we confront, and that the Tanners and the Lungaros and the neighbors across the street confront, is that the road itself has now been undermined by the runoff, and chunks of it are breaking off.
That's
No,
what
no,
we-
I
that's what we've
understand
cited
that.
them
I
for,
understand
yeah.
that. I'm trying to understand what it is, the issue, because that's been summoned, right? They've
Yes.
been summoned for that.
for stormwater nuisance, not for property maintenance, to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the same, because the stormwater created the property maintenance issues. It broke up the roadbed. It caused erosion.
That's the property maintenance you're
Yeah,
referring to, the
that's-
broken road bed and that kind of stuff?
That's one of about 4 or 5 examples.
Okay.
Because every
That's
day
what we
when I go
cited.
to my mailbox, I look out at a wooded area that is littered with filth. Along Washington Avenue, it's a dumping ground. I mean, that's been going on a long time. I can't even, there are limbs there from August 21st that have not been cleaned up. And when the winter comes, it's going to be even worse than the photos I showed you in March.
They're under violation for all of that.
They are.
Yeah. Anything that's caused by the stormwater.
So I can get after the town of Mount Pleasant for not picking up any of the limbs in the woods in my backyard?
It's not just limbs, it's
Because,
rubbish.
it
because
depends,
there's
yeah,
broken
maybe.
trees, there's trees that are halfway down, so I
They're
can go after
property
them for that?
maintenance
I didn't know that.
standards. Yeah.
It's
Look,
an eyesore.
These issues are a great frustration, and some of the dumping of litter and this, that, and the other thing is the stuff on Foxwood's property, for example, is not stuff Foxwood dumped. It's people who are taking advantage of
Yeah,
the
it's a
vacant
shame
property
they
to dump, which
dumped
is
on a lot.
massively frustrating. It is unfortunately the reality that everybody's responsible for maintaining their own property regardless of the genesis of the stuff. So I don't want people to get the wrong idea about that. But certainly there's been a lot of frustration about this, obviously from you guys because it has an impact on your homes, and but from us as well. I think we have applied a lot of pressure and continue to. The county is doing the same, and it's not, unfortunately, not something that is, as we all well know, going to get solved overnight. So
All right. Well,
we will
thank
keep
you.
the pressure on.
Okay, and I will keep you updated.
Okay.
Thank you very
Patty.
much.
I mean, if this is causing runoff problems, why can't we, in the same way that we shovel somebody's walk and charge them, we put a lien on their taxes, why can't we go up and and clean up some of that area and then charge them?
I can tell you that we did that in the circumstance of Hurricane Irene. But we clearly, simply don't have the horsepower to be maintaining other people's properties.
Because they will let us do that.
They will.
Some people will just abandon all of their
No,
responsibilities.
but we hire somebody to do it, not the DPW people.
We
hire somebody to
did. We
do
did.
it.
I mean, our own DPW guys as well as an outside firm.
did, but
because we were confronting a
transfers
potential
Did they
disaster.
pay? And did they pay?
Well, it's being paid. In fact,
But-
they called to ask where the bill is again, so it'll get paid.
I mean, the problem we
I'm confident
confront,
it's going to get paid. I'm just
the problem we confront right now is it is not, obviously, the maintenance issues, picking up junk debris, limbs, trash, etc., are easy to understand and easy to see what ought to be done. The drainage problems and the water that's eroding the road and the pieces of the road that are coming up are less easily solved. I mean, there has been discussion about taking the road out
But
entirely.
if it's a debris problem that's the genesis of the road,
Well, it's going in the stormwater too.
Right, but it just
catch
seems to me that
basins.
we should be able to, if we've done it before, why don't we just do it again?
I mean, it's something that I think we would do only in an extraordinary
We
circumstance.
would, Brian, if we had to do it. We would.
Right.
I mean, to answer your question directly, we would if we had to do it. If it created an imminent threat.
Like it
Other
did
than
in
that,
Irene.
all we do is summons and hope that the court would handle it properly, because we don't have the authority to enter private property and compel people to work on it unless there's some imminent danger. I mean, we're totally out of our, area of...
Otherwise, they might show up on your front
step one day and
decide to
wanna,
take your chimney down or something.
No, but
I don't want to
Charge you
minimize,
for
charge you for cleaning up your porch.
if I had a tree that was overhanging a sidewalk, say,
Right.
or
Right,
creating
we
some
would
kind of,
have a
then the village would come in.
I mean, I don't want to minimize any of that. Nobody's minimizing any of it.
Right.
But the reality here is there are legal issues flying around all over the place. And, essentially, we need to compel this collective group to come up with a solution and enact it in order to protect the homeowners on the opposite side of the street, and that's what we're seeking to do. So,
It's frustrating on that side of the table, it's frustrating on this side of the table.
no doubt, on all sides, that's for sure. So. All right, any further comment? Nope. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
All right.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. As mentioned, our next work session is next Monday, October 3rd. Regular meeting October 10. Go to www.areep.com and sign up for that
That's right.
benefit 5K run. Thank you all.